Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Learning Through Languages High School Research Symposium webinar. We're glad that you can join us today. I'm Emily Chavez. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the UNC Duke Consortium in Latin American and Caribbean Studies.
I'm Sarah Brown. I'm the Outreach Assistant at the Carolina Asia Center.
And I'm Robert Anderson. I'm the Director of the UNC Languages Across the Curriculum program. I'm also a lecturer in Portuguese.
All right, so we're just adjusting there. Okay, so we will hold this webinar until 5:30 p.m. And we will have the last 20 minutes to answer your questions about anything that you want to ask us about. And if you would just make sure to sign in if you have a Gmail account, that will allow you to use the chat function on the right side of the screen should you have questions, and then we'll take those questions and answer them aloud in this webinar. Additionally, this webinar will be saved as a YouTube video. So if there are other teachers that you know that might be interested, then they can join or they can watch at a later time. And if you need to leave early for any reason, then you can also come back to this video and find out hopefully the rest of the answers to your questions.
Before we begin, we want to just tell you a little bit about the centers who are putting this on. So the UNC Duke Consortium in Latin American and Caribbean Studies is a partnership between the Latin American and Caribbean centers at either university. The consortium is in the 27th year and has been a Title VI designated National Resource Center for 26 years. The consortium promotes the study and the research of the region through a variety of programs and opportunities for students, faculty, K through 12, and community college teachers and the North Carolina community at large. The Carolina Asia Center is a UNC Chapel Hill organization dedicated to helping transform our understanding of and relationship with Asia. In 2014, it became the first Title VI funded Pan-Asia National Resource Center in the Southeast United States. The Carolina Asia Center offers resources to students, faculty, and community members, such as the resources to educators to enhance students' knowledge about Asia. Teachers' resources include lesson plans, a book database, and a professional development list. The Center for European Studies at UNC Chapel Hill advances understanding of the social, political, and economic events that shape contemporary Europe. The center places special emphasis on sharing teaching resources and expertise about Europe with K through 16 educators and offering teacher training sessions. Lesson plans and supplementary materials for teaching Europe are available on the Center for European Studies website. The Duke UNC Consortium for Middle East Studies enhances the Middle Eastern curriculum on the two campuses and stimulates awareness of the importance and richness of Middle Eastern people and cultures. As the recipient of a Title VI Middle East Studies grant from the U.S. Department of Education, the consortium is a national resource center. We support our faculty, students, and also our community, including K through 12 and community college teachers, in deepening understanding of the Middle East. You can find any of these resources on their websites. Now I'm going to turn it to Rob, who's going to explain why we should do this.
Yes, this project, the Learning Through Languages project, is a remarkable opportunity for students of world language as well as educators of world language to do something that is beyond what we often do in the world language classroom. And it fits nicely within the initiative that I work with, which is Languages Across the Curriculum. And the UNC's Languages Across the Curriculum program, or LAC as we know it, offers students the opportunity to use world languages in a variety of courses outside of the disciplines of language and literature. The program aims to promote a fuller understanding of world regions while demonstrating the relevance of practical language skills across the disciplines. Successful completion of a LAC course ideally enables a student to communicate in the target language about topics, describe how topics relate to world regions that speak the target languages, explain course topics from the perspective of individuals who speak the target language, and use the target language to conduct course research. The Languages Across the Curriculum program at UNC is an old and well-established one, going back to a couple of decades, to the efforts of Ruth Mitchell Pitts in the Center of European Studies here at UNC, and continued by Tanya Kinsella, my immediate predecessor in the program. And over these numbers of years, UNC became a leader in the Languages Across the Curriculum movement and has participated in the consortium for cultures and languages across the curriculum that provides a network for such programs across the country. The efforts on campus have expanded as well. We are adding every year new languages to the program. This year we'll be adding Portuguese and Chinese, and we also growing into underrepresented disciplines. We pioneered a Spanish language across the curriculum course in environmental sciences, and we're looking for ways to expand into the health sciences, especially public health. So back to this project, the Learning Through Languages project then really is very much in the spirit of Languages Across the Curriculum, because you will be using the target language, but they will be doing research in the social sciences. This will include both researching probably sources that are produced outside of the United States, and they will be trying to convey not only in linguistic terms, but in cultural terms, the information they've gathered. So I think this is an exciting project for world languages in the public schools. And I'm hoping it will excite your students to explore the UNC campus further, and perhaps some of your students would be interested in attending here, where they can continue to use their language not only in our 4 language department programs. We have Asian studies, we have African American and diasporic studies, we have Romance studies, and Germanic and Slavic languages and literatures. We also have multidisciplinary programs that may use their language skills. The Contemporary European Studies major, housed in the Center for European Studies, as well as Latin American Studies major, housed in the Institute for the Study of the Americas.
Great, thank you so much, Rob. Okay, so now we'll be talking about the program itself, and we'll start with talking about the eligibility of students. So this program is for level 3 or higher students, and this is our 2nd year, so we're very happy with how the first year went, and now we have expanded to more languages. So this program is open to students of Spanish, French, German, Arabic, Chinese, and Japanese, and again at level 3 or higher. We also welcome the participation of Heritage Speakers class students, and so that would be Spanish for native speakers. We will have 28 teams total, and so we'll have 7 teams per track, and the tracks are according to world region. So what that means is that any student team of any language can choose one of 4 tracks. These tracks are Latin America, Contemporary Latin America and the Caribbean, Contemporary Asia, Contemporary Europe, and Contemporary Middle East and North Africa. And each student team will be made up of 2 to 3 students, and each team will have a sponsoring teacher. The sponsoring teacher is probably most likely a world language teacher, but it can also, the sponsoring teacher can also be another teacher in a supporting role. The teacher will help the students to stay on track as far as doing their research, make sure they meet the deadline for the research paper, which we'll talk about in a moment, and just kind of be their cheerleader along the way as well. Probably guide them with respect to resources, and support them through the process of participating in learning through languages.
So for the research paper part, there's going to be first a title page, an abstract page, the main body of it, and then a reference page. It'll all be in APA format. Hopefully there will be about 2 to 3 pages for the main body for Spanish, French, and German. While for Chinese and Japanese, instead of a 2 to 3 page limit, there will be a 700 to 800 word limit. For Chinese, the font will be Simsun font in 14 point, and Japanese will be put on the Ginkgo Yoshi. For Arabic, it'll be about 1.5 to 2 pages. It'll be submitted in advance on Tuesday, November 22nd, and it'll be submitted through a Gmail account, which is learningthroughlanguages@gmail.com.
And I'll just add that all of these guidelines that we're going over will be available starting either later tonight or tomorrow morning in a participant portal on Google. So we will have all of these guidelines written up and available to you as soon as our registration opens for Learning Through Languages. The oral presentation is the second part of the symposium upon which the students will be judged. And this is what they will come and prepare for actually giving at the symposium. This will be a 4-minute presentation that each student team makes, and each student must speak for at least 60 seconds. I'm sorry, yes, 60 seconds during that 4-minute presentation. So we want to make sure that the presentation is balanced. There will be 3 rounds of judging. So a judge will listen to the oral presentation, and then there will be a Q&A session that is unscripted, and each student must respond to a question posed by the judge. And again, there will be 3 rounds, so they will be judged 3 different times on that oral presentation and Q&A.
The last part would be the project visual. So the project visual could be anything from a PowerPoint, a poster, a modder, anything. If it's electronic, they need to come with their devices fully charged. The important part of the project visual is just to be creative.
All right. So those are the 3 parts of Learning Through Languages that will be judged for us to get the overall scores. And again, that's the written paper, the oral presentation, and the project visual. Now we're going to talk for a moment about the research tracks. And as I mentioned, there are 4. We're going to give a couple examples of research questions that your students can pursue. And we will, along with the program guidelines, also offer 5 or 6 suggested research topics that your students can choose to use. However, they don't need to use our suggested topics. They're welcome to come up with other topics, and there will be no preference given for using the suggested topics, nor for choosing their own. So the first one is Contemporary Latin America and the Caribbean. And a couple of questions would be, with a peace accord being struck between the Colombian government and the FARC, how will FARC women now integrate into Colombian society? What reforestation efforts have been most successful in Latin America, and why? And again, these are contemporary topics focused, and there can be a historical sort of context given for each topic, but the focus would be on recent issues in the social, political, economic life of these regions. The second one is Europe, contemporary Europe, and two questions. Why is there a rise of right-wing parties in Europe? And what are the main reasons for the Brexit vote? And what are some of the consequences?
For the contemporary Middle East and North Africa track, two examples are how has the Iranian nuclear deal affected the Iranian economy? And what efforts are being made to improve girls' access to education in Pakistan? For the contemporary Asia track, what are the effects of territorial disputes in the South China Sea? And how can Asia as a whole best address environmental sustainability?
All right. And if you have specific questions about what any of these tracks encompass geographically, please feel free to email us and ask us those questions. You can email me, emily.chavez@duke.edu, and you can also email Emma Harver, who emailed all of you to remind you about this webinar if you signed up for it ahead of time. So please just let us know if you have a question about what countries are included or anything else pertaining to the regions of study. And again, I'll just remind you that any language team can study any track.
So for the program logistics, we ask that there will be 3 teams per teacher, unless we don't have enough to sign up. Some important dates to follow are registration opens tomorrow, September 28th, and it closes October 24th. And this will also be sent out tomorrow over all of the emails that you may have been reached out to, or webinar links, all of that. Also, the written papers are due December 2nd, and this
November 22nd.
November 22nd, sorry. November 22nd, and the symposium is December 8th.
All right, and then again, with the program documents, everything will be in a Google folder, and again, that will be sent out to you either tonight or tomorrow, along with the registration link. So if you would like to register your student teams, please just follow that link, and it will ask you to enter all the information there. And in the Google folder, we will later put information like about parking and logistical matters related to the symposium. We will also, by the end of this week, have the rubric in there for you to print out for your students, so they can see exactly what the judges will be looking for when they're reading the paper, listening to the oral presentation, and evaluating the project visual. Just a note about judges as well. The judges that we have are faculty, graduate students, and instructional staff here at UNC and from Duke. So they are highly qualified individuals who are eager to engage and participate in this opportunity with North Carolina high school students.
So once you come to UNC, so getting here, funding is still available for mileage or sub. So please note on, so we encourage Title I and outside of the Triangle area to come. The Learning Through Language Symposium will take place in the lobby of the FedEx Global Education Building. The FedEx Global Education Building is on the edge of campus near the Nursing and Medical School. It is on Pittsburgh Street, intersecting with Macaulay Street. For parking, students will be dropped off in front of the building. There will be a station for students to sign in. There will also be clear instructions on parking closer to the day. For school bus and vans, parking will be in another area of campus about 15 minutes away.
All right, and then we'll just go through what the day of this symposium looks like. So it's a very exciting day when the students finally come after preparing their research, preparing their presentations, and creating their project visuals. And we, again, encourage lots of creativity with that. So teams can arrive at starting at 10 o'clock. Setup is 10 to 10:45 on December 8th, which is a Thursday. And then we will start at 10:45 with the formal program. We'll have a welcome, 11 o'clock, and then we will have our 3 rounds of judging. 1 at 11, 1 at 11:20, and 1 at 11:40. We will conclude the judging portion of the symposium by noon, and then we will take a break, and then we will have lunch, and that will be an opportunity for the students to talk to UNC Duke faculty, staff, and students, as well as just relax and maybe even get to know each other, students from different places in North Carolina. So that will be provided by UNC and Duke. And then we will have some activities for your students from 1 to 2. And at 2 to 2:30, we will have the awards ceremony formally adjourn. We will then have an optional tour of campus if you would like to sign your students up. That will be 2:30 to 3:30. Last year we kind of got rained out, so hopefully that won't happen. We had kind of a downpour, but we do anticipate being able to offer that tour this year. And I just want to also go over the awards and the prizes for each track and then overall. So for each track, each of our 4 tracks, we will have a Best Overall Research Project award, as well as an honorable mention. And then we will also have 3 awards that will be given across all tracks. And those are Best Use of Written and Oral Language, Best Scholarship, and Most Innovative and Illustrative Project Visual. So we will try to recognize students for a variety of ways that they demonstrate their scholarship and knowledge of the language. So at this time, we are going to take questions that you have, and please go ahead and give us through the chat function any questions that you have about the program, about what your students will produce, and we will answer them right now on air. We don't have any questions yet. Let's see here.
I will say that last year, this was just a wonderful opportunity for everybody involved. I think that I was really impressed with the students who came, and I think that they were very tickled to be here, and I saw a lot of proud teachers too, and the judges had a lot of fun too. They recruited the judges from our among our colleagues here, and they really enjoyed the opportunity to work with your students. Do we have an evaluation rubric for the students?
Yes, we do have a rubric, and that will be available in the Google folder, the participant portal, by this Friday. So that rubric is pretty detailed and applies across languages. And we used one last year, and we did use folks' feedback to improve upon it. So it will detail exactly what we are looking for with each portion that the students will be judged on the research paper the oral presentation and the project visual.
We have another question. In what language do the papers have to be in? I assume this refers to the research paper itself.
The research paper is in the language of study.
So in the target language, the same language that they'll be doing the research in and presenting in.
Yes, actually, to go into more detail with the actual research that they will conduct, we do require that they use at least 5 sources. 2 of them need to be in the target language. However, they can use English English sources to do their research as well. So 3 of the sources could be in English. The paper is written in that language.
And they both present and they answer the unscripted questions in the target language. And the judges will be asking them questions in the target language.
That's correct. These are language instructors from UNC and Duke, so they are used to working with students. But
I forgot to give a shout out to our colleagues at Duke that also has a culture and language across the curriculum program too. So they'll be joining us. So there's another question here. How many students can I have in my group?
You can have about 2 to 3 per group, and we ask that there's only 3 teams per teacher. Any more questions?
I'm going to encourage you also to sign up on the registration if you would like assistance with mileage or with travel expenses or obtaining a sub for your class. We do want to, again, support as many schools as possible in coming. We aim to have about 90 students with 28 teams, so or just under 90 students.
There's a question here, and before I read it, I'll clarify something that might be of interest. So we have the tracks, but we also have the languages. But you can do any track in any language. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's important to make clear. There's another question. There are topics that cross different regional groups. Okay, for example, immigration in the Mediterranean that can bring in different regions. Is that okay?
That is okay, with the focus being on one region or another. And so, for instance, with immigration, and the Syrian refugee crisis, perhaps, if you were studying the causes of that mass migration and the refugee crisis, that would be focused on the Middle East. That would be within the Middle East and North Africa track. But if you were looking at the issues with responding to the Syrian refugees and their needs in a European context, that would be in the contemporary Europe track.
So their advice might be to kind of find a center of gravity for your track.
Yes.
Where you want your students to go. Another chat participant. I participated last year. It was a fantastic experience for my dual language students. They prepared themselves for #real-life presentations. We learned a lot. We're looking forward to participating again. So I do hope that's great to hear, and I hope we'll have other veterans from last year returning and participating.
Absolutely. We appreciate all the teachers and students who jumped in last year, and we definitely would love you all back, and we would also, just love to expand. So talk to your colleagues. Thank you.
Another could be to speak to the number of groups. If I have many exceptional student groups, could I potentially send more groups?
Oh, okay. Right now, we're just asking for about 3 teams, but if we don't have enough people sign up, then you're welcome to bring more teams. But first, we want to give everybody an equal chance to come.
If you're interested in bringing more teams, maybe just send one of us an email and let us know, and we can kind of keep an eye on how the slots are filling out. We just want to, like what Sarah said, just kind of give the chance, but let us know to keep an eye out for you.
And so there's a question here, and this might be calling for just going over the registration procedures again. What is the deadline to register my students? Do they have to register themselves?
Good question. Do you want to say?
So the deadline to register students is October 24th. Do they have to register themselves? No, they do not. So you can register for them.
We'll just ask you to put in basic information about each student, their name, and their grade, and just what course they're taking.
Thank you to everybody who is also coming out to this webinar. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Should we go over contact information again, or
Yeah,
is
we
it
can
available?
do that. Yeah, we still have half an hour, but we'll see if more questions come in, and maybe we'll go until 5:10 if things slow down. But yes, you can contact me at Emily, EMILY.Chavez, CHAVEZ @duke.edu.
You can contact me at Sarah Brown at SARBROWN @email.unc.edu.
And you can contact me, especially if you're interested in UNC's languages across the curriculum program, or guidance for your students who might be interested in exploring UNC in greater depth. And that's Roberto, ROBERTO, @email.unc.edu.
Well, we hope that lots of folks can sign their students up and participate. And if there's anything that we could do feel free to contact us. And I hope it will be an exciting opportunity for a lot of your students to see the value in learning another language, and just really kind of open up their eyes perhaps to an issue of interest, a contemporary issue, and just deepen their understanding perhaps of a world region, maybe even get them interested in traveling potentially or doing study abroad as an undergraduate student. But we definitely hope to just really encourage and validate the students who come and show them how awesome it is to study another language, to know 2 or even more languages, and then there are doors that can open with that, and they will have lots of wonderful role models here, especially in the graduate students who are making this their life's work. So we hope it will be a great experience for all the students, and we'll have lots of pizza for them. So
there is lunch, free lunch. I wanted to underscore too that once again, in the spirit of learning through language and languages across the curriculum, we're often very aware that our students want to get proficiency in a world language, or maybe they need motivation to get proficiency in a world language, but their interests lie outside of language pedagogy and literature and high culture. And this is a wonderful opportunity, in this case, through the social sciences and contemporary events, but also it's possible through the sciences and professional tracks to have our students using the languages that we're teaching them and applying them instrumentally in areas of their interests, first in high school and then hopefully down the road in their college career, in their professional careers. I see another question or two has come in. Could there be two teachers from the same school?
Yes.
Yes. So each teacher can field 3 teams, but you can have as many teachers from a given school
Yes.
as you can muster.
Yes.
So get your colleagues involved. Yeah.
Share the school bus.
Share the bus.
Exactly.
Will there be a gallery type opportunity for students to view each other's projects? That's a good question. So
Yes, we will. We will have actually we've added this year this time 1 to 2 when we'll have student activities, but we'll have some time in there for students to come around and also other teachers and look at each other's work. And I think that the students were really proud last year of everything that they had produced, and I can't wait to see what students will bring this year. We had there's everything under the sun: technology, t-shirts, videos,
Yeah.
very elaborate posters, like many wonderful things. So we will definitely make that time and encourage that time for students to look at each other's work. Thank you.
the students will take their visuals home with them, though, at the end of the day.
Yes.
Correct.
Can we go on any site to watch some prior competition at UNC?
We don't have video, but we do have photos. So we have a web page which is housed on the UNC Duke Consortium in Latin American and Caribbean Studies website, and that does have a number of pictures from last year. We were fortunate to have a graduate student come to help out who actually did photography, so she took some great photos, and we will actually send that out with the registration.
It's okay if I go ahead and send that on the chat too.
Oh, exactly.
There's the
Yes.
website
That's
here,
even
URL.
easier. Yeah, there's a slideshow at the bottom. So. And we also see this as an opportunity for the students to work together, to collaborate, and hopefully have some team building.
Mhm.
As far as the prizes, they are trophies, and then also Duke and UNC items. Yes, we have cooperation between our universities. So, what else can you comment on?
For when the written paper is due on November 22nd, it's due at 5 p.m. and we'd ask that it's a PDF version instead of a Microsoft Word or anything.
A change this year from last year is that we'll do 3 rounds of judging rather than one round with 3 judges, and that is an opportunity for the students to give their presentation obviously more than one time, and so if the first time doesn't go so well, they can do it again, and we hope that'll work better for judging purposes, to kind of give them a shot, 3 shots at doing the best that they can do.
Another question came in. Do you have students' previous research papers for us to read as reference? I do have one comment related to that, which is I would encourage you and when you're working with your students to pay close attention to the instructions in the rubric, because they, of course, since there is a rubric, they'll be evaluated on completeness and as well as other variables that are elements of the rubric. So that's one way to mentor your students, is to have them pay close attention to the instructions and try to fulfill them, and have some oversight there. But do we have do we have an archive?
We that was not something that we asked permission for to share last year. So although they are somewhere in my email, we didn't get permission to share those from last year. So I'm sorry, we don't have examples that can be shown at this point.
But it is a good opportunity to mentor your students in basic research skills, something that they most traditionally get in their language arts classes, if they get it at all, and use it as an opportunity to go back to the basics of research, and as well as expository composition and referencing sources and that type of thing. It's a really important mentoring opportunity, particularly if your students have not had a lot of research experience. And here they are doing it in a target language, which is an exciting add-on, but it also doesn't change the fundamental task in many ways.
That's right. These are hopefully skills they can apply within within their language of study, and then also to other fields as well. Right. Well, we'll see if any other questions come in. But if you all have more questions, again, just feel free to email us. Last year we had people, run topic ideas by us. We ask that all the teams come up with not just a topic, but a research question that guides their project. And so if you would like to, check in with us about that, that's totally fine. Or you can have your students email us. That would be fine. I'll just make a comment about the funding for this. And as Sarah said, we are Title VI funded centers. And what that means is that we receive funding from the federal government, from the Department of Education, in order to do programming for teachers, schools, and students. So we're very pleased to be able to offer this program this year, and we just encourage everyone to take advantage. This is one of our big collaborative efforts for this year, and so we are looking forward to what will be produced. So I think if there are no more questions, then we will go ahead.
We're going to share our emails online in just a moment.
All right, so let us know if you have any questions at all, and we hope to see lots of folks in December.
Again, please email us if you have any questions.
Yeah, that's a time. All right. So our emails are coming momentarily to you over this webinar.
I would go ahead and copy it down just in case that when the webinar closes, that way it might disappear from the chat room.
And it's SAR Brown, not
Yes.
Sarah Brown. Again.
SAR Brown.
I'll just make a note also, since there was the question about the topic of immigration from the Middle East region to Europe. Immigration was in different facets of it. That was a popular topic last year in the Latin America and Caribbean track, and it is again great to study the issue of immigration, but the focus would be on not on the effects or the results, but the causes or even the consequences in Latin America. So if immigration is a topic that your students want to study, Latin American immigration, that is wonderful. The focus would just be on what happens to lead to it in Latin America or the Caribbean. Or another topic would be immigration within the region as well.
So in other words, of the tracks, Latin American Caribbean do not include the United States.
Yes.
So you could talk about push factors, right? Reasons why people might leave the region.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And the English-speaking or French-speaking Caribbean is part of that region as well. So your students can study. It doesn't have to be Spanish-speaking Latin America. It can certainly be all parts of the Caribbean and Brazil. Yeah,
and Brazil and Dutch-speaking areas. Everything south of the Rio Grande in Florida, right?
Correct. Yes.
And north of Antarctica.
But again, if you have questions about the other regions, any region, please just let us know. So, all right. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll wrap it up here then. But we thank you for your time today. We hope to see lots of you again in December, and just let us know if there's any questions that we can answer.
Look out for that registration link.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.